Hello, my dear children. Namaste to all of you. This is Ambika, your biology master teacher, right here on the super amazing platform of Vedantu. Well, guys, there is a lot that we have to think about when we are nearing board exam time, right? Perhaps a few months away or a few weeks away. That doesn't matter. But we need to make sure that we are entirely prepared in all ways, no matter what, right? So today, I thought it would completely make sense to talk to you about one very important thing. So, you know what? From my experience as a student and as a teacher, of course, I was also a CBSE student, like many of our students, even these days in India. So, yes, guys, my from my experience as a student and as a teacher over the last several years, I've seen I've seen like a number of cases when it comes to board exam results. Okay, so I can think about three major cases now. One category of those students who score a lot more than they possibly expected. When the results are out, they're like, wow, I never expected to score this much. That's one category. Secondly, those students who pretty much get what they would have expected. And then there's this third category, which is a little sad to think about, little scary to think about, to be very honest, because it is that category in which there are children who expected to score a certain amount of marks, but when the results came out, they are like, oh my goodness, no, that can't be my results because I scored, I really, I'm sure I would have done a lot better than this. So, what actually went wrong? Okay, of course, category one and two, which I have told you, they are positive things. So, for the time being, let us not go into the analysis of those. Let's put that aside. Let us now analyze what could possibly be the reason 90% of the students who belong to the third category did not score as much as they expected to, scored a little less or probably a lot less than they expected themselves to score. Okay, so why am I talking to you about this? Basically, because as a responsible and a very loving teacher, I want to ensure that none of my children facing the board exams this year would commit the same mistake. Okay, so listen on, children, until the very end because I will be giving you a few important tips also. Okay, so why does this happen? I can think of several reasons, but perhaps like about five or six very common reasons would be responsible for this. Why students score less than expected in board exams. First of all, probably silly mistakes. You know, that quite often happens. Even after several rounds of repeated revisions, repeated number of writing model exams or pre-board exams, there may be times when you may go wrong with a spelling. You know, just a spelling may not always lead you to losing marks, but it's not always the case. Needn't necessarily be with the spelling. What if I'm talking about math or a problem in physics? One silly mistake can lead you to lose a lot of marks. Now, that actually very much takes me back to my 10th grade board exam as well. Math used to be one of my favorite subjects, okay? And I still remember there were 3 marks that I lost in my maths paper. My mark in maths in my class 10 CBSE was 97. Okay. So the 3 marks I still very clearly remember to date where I lost them. One of them, and not one of them, 2 of them actually were very silly mistakes. Okay. And I still remember what exactly that was like. It was some simplification, and I missed out some number there. So instead of getting the answer as 64, I wrote the answer as 128. That was one of it. It's crystal clear in my memory now. Okay, that's one of it. I'm just giving you an example of a silly mistake. So especially when it's the case of math or some other subjects like that, it could be very, very dangerous because especially if it's like happening in mathematics or physics in the first few steps of your problem-based questions, it could lead you to lose the entire marks for all the steps that you have worked out, right? So silly mistakes can be very, very common. Maybe you were not aware of it as well. Okay. Secondly, overconfidence. Now, out of those 3 marks that I lost in math, 1 mark I lost only because of overconfidence, because I had like 20 minutes extra after I completed writing the entire exam. I was very fast and systematic in writing the answers, and finally I had about 20 minutes left. I went on to check the entire paper once, twice. Even after that, I had like 10 more minutes, 10 or 15 more minutes. In one particular problem, I went on to unnecessarily add an extra step, which wasn't even asked. I don't know what went through my head. Just sheer overconfidence. I lost 1 mark there as well. Okay. So that's just one small example, but overconfidence is a very, very dangerous thing, children. Okay. So never ever let overconfidence ruin your thoughts during an exam. Okay. Thirdly, lack of self judgment. This is quite common because quite a number of times it happens that we feel we have written the best answers, but when the examiner sits down to evaluate, possibly the key points are missing. You might have written an entire essay. The question was explain double circulation. And you need to write that for 2 marks. Say, for example, but you have gone on to explain over enthusiastically the entire structure of the human heart. You drew a beautiful diagram. And all of it, you're like very sure you will score the full 2 marks. But children, have you written what was actually asked? That is the point. That is where you are lacking that judgment, right? So that is also another reason. Fourth reason is it could possibly be unnecessary stress. Maybe you've been sleep deprived over a very long period of time, for several months together, for several weeks together. Maybe you haven't been able to think clear while you were writing the exam, or even after your exam, you don't really remember how much you wrote because you're so stressed, you're so sleep deprived. You really don't have any clarity of it. But somewhere at the bottom of your heart, you think, okay, maybe I will score this much. But when your results come out, you're like, oh my goodness, it's not what I actually expected. Okay. So sleep deprivation or unnecessary stress in general could be another reason. Now, another reason, which is, I know it can sound a little weird, but what I have seen sometimes, even because of bad luck. Okay, but there is very, very little chance because normally in your board exams, CBSE and ICSE board exams, normally those of you who prepare well you will get the results in your papers. But out of sheer bad luck, sometimes you may not get what you expected. So I will explain it, especially in the case of exams like English, say for instance, wherein you are writing an essay. Okay, like a random essay on a given topic. It's a fresh new topic that's given to you, and you're writing an essay on it. Maybe your school teacher would have taught you to write the answer in a particular way. You never know what's going on in the mind of the examiner because for certain subjects like English, the perfect answer lies in the eyes of the beholder, and the beholder is the examiner. So you never know. Probably the examiner who is evaluating your paper at that point of time has a different way of looking at it. You might end up not getting full marks for a particular question, right? I don't want you to get scared right now because I'm telling you this, but I've seen cases when I was a student, cases of students who were like very average in English, but they scored like really good marks in English. And there have been cases of some students who were exceptionally good in English and yet did not score very well. So the only reason I could possibly think of was luck in such a situation. But don't worry, it's not the reason 90% of the students score less than expected. It's just possibly one of the reasons. And the last and the most important reason could possibly be presentation of the paper. Children, paper presentation is super duper important. And this is why a few weeks before your exam, we try and make videos for you on what are the tips that you need to keep in mind to ensure that you present your paper in the right possible manner, in the best possible manner. Okay. So children, this comes only with practice. Don't worry at all. All I'm telling you is take your pre-board exams seriously, practice very well. Presentation is equally important, even if it's your pre-board exams, or even if it's an exam that you are writing in your self-study sessions, trying to evaluate on your own. This plays a very important role because it's creating a habit. Okay. So paper presentation, super duper important. Even if you pay careful attention, even if you forget to write the question number, there it's gone. There have been many cases wherein children unnecessarily lose the entire 3 marks or 5 marks of a particular question just because they missed out writing the question number. Okay, may not always be the case, but it's definitely something that's possible to happen. I mean, likely to happen. Okay, so keep this in mind. So, what are the possible solutions? Okay, so as I told you, children, I want you all to keep these pointers in mind and make sure that you think about solutions so that you don't commit these mistakes. Solutions could be very simple. First of all, have very good clarity in your syllabus. This year, especially, a lot of your syllabus has been cut down. Have very good clarity in that. Have a basic idea about what is there and what is not there. Focus very well on what is there. The rest of it, I'm not telling you completely ignore it, but pay very little attention to it, obviously, because during board exam season, you don't really have to pay attention to it. If you're thinking about it in the long run, it might help me prepare better for NEET and JEE and things like that. That's completely up to you. But certainly, the clarity in syllabus will help you focus better on what is still there intact in the syllabus. Okay, that's the first thing. Secondly, as I told you, practice very, very well. Be it a small practice test you are taking at home, or maybe in your private tuition teachers' place, or maybe in your school, whatever it may be, your pre-boards or whatever it is, make sure you get into the mindset that you are writing the actual board exam. Okay, present your paper in that kind of a manner with that much attention to detail and that amount of attention to neatness and clarity as well. Writing the question number properly, especially if there are options, right? Optional questions. Attempt one of these. You must be very, very clear about which one you're writing. Yes, so it's super duper important. Then take very, very good care of your health. Children, physically, mentally, emotionally, make sure you give yourself the best possible care. Nobody else, of course, your parents will be able to take care of you up to a certain limit, but then what's going on within you is totally under your control. So, physically, mentally, emotionally, make sure you are at your best. Trust me, children, it plays a very important role in affecting the quality of your thinking during exams and after it as well. Okay? Then, once you've done all this, which means your part is entirely done and you have written the exams as well. Once you've done your part entirely, remember, okay, what's done is done. Now things are not going to be under my control, but I have done my best. I have been very sincere and dedicated to myself. So I'm not going to stress over things which are not in my control anymore. So that's about it. When I have to stress over something, when I have to stress over the results, so be it. I'll deal with it then. But for the time being, I'm not going to give it a very deep thought. That's about it. Children, that is it. That will be the end of it. Do your part. Good things will definitely follow. Okay, children, just make sure you are sincere and dedicated to yourself. So once your exam is done, make sure you leave the exam hall with full positivity, with your mind filled with complete positive thoughts, because now nothing is going to be under your control. What's done is done. Remember this. And one more thing I would like to tell you here is, children, if at all you are scared about, you are anxious about your board exams approaching, or unnecessary stress about the fact that it is a board exam and not just a normal class test, remember, children, we've also all faced through this. It's not just your batch. Hundreds of, I would say millions of students in the last several years have been through this. And we are still alive today. We are still happily living our lives today, right? Thanks to everything that's happened, right? So just remember, it's just like any other exam. The only possible difference that I can think about your board exam from your remaining school exams is that it's going to be happening at a different center, a different exam center, most likely. Your invigilators would be some stranger you've possibly never even met them before, and maybe those additional formalities which you have to fill in before your exam starts, that might also add to a little bit of tension. But what's the big deal in it? It's just another form. Just fill it. Just be at your best, fill it up, and that's about it. Just because that's there, it's not going to change your mindset. I mean, it should not change your mindset. Remember, it's just like any other exam. Okay. So, children, if there's anything else you would like to add to this, please feel free to put it in the comment section below. I would love to hear it from you. And until we meet again, stay home, stay happy, and stay safe. Bye bye.